Alright guys, we have a BP9cc here, handgun, that I did buy online. I recently took it apart fully and down to the pins and springs, and I tried to find resources online. I didn't really find many options, so I'm going to go ahead and show you how I break it down and give you a clear insight on how to reassemble it, because there's not a lot of resources online for this gun specifically. So, all right, let's get started. All right, so I don't want to make this video super long, but let's just go ahead and make sure it is not armed. Nothing inside, that's good. So for this one, you do need to have it fired. So make sure you point it in a safe spot and shoot. Because it does have to be, the trigger does have to be pulled for you to actually release it. So let's go ahead and remove the slide. Most videos you've seen online, you can actually figure out how to remove the slide, but I'm trying to do a deep dive into the gun. So first things first, you line these two up with the slide after you pull the trigger. You're gonna go ahead and pull this part out. Now I don't know every single piece that it's called, but I do understand how this works and functions. So here we go. First removed. Now the slide should come right off. Now most videos will show you how to remove this pretty easily, so I'm thankful for that. Let's go ahead and disassemble our parts. We've got our main spring here. We've got our barrel. Now I'm gonna show you how to actually take some pieces off of this, but I'll set it aside for now. And then you have your frame. You don't need the mag anymore. Now we have all our main components here. I'll start with the frame, might as well. Let's at least just disassemble the main components. So right here, I did buy a punch set. Now, to be honest, I did use like a electronic screwdriver just to kind of push the pins through, and some of the even finer ones I even use a nail, so don't judge me, but I did what I had to do without any tools. So I recently just went out and bought some punches so I can actually do this properly. Let me see, got a little hammer here, which is kind of nice. I haven't officially used it, but I do recommend getting a mat that you can put your small pieces on that has a magnet, so that did help me a lot. But all right, let's go ahead and take off this main body here. This pin should be good. Now, let's see if it just comes out with some pressure. There you go. So remove the main pin here. Now, there is gonna be these grooves here. These grooves actually set in a metal C-ring here, but that is actually going to be right on the in between the plastic and the metal here. So when you remove this, just be careful of that, because it came out and I didn't even know what it was. So when you take this off, it's going to be sitting right there, guys. So keep in mind, whenever you're removing this, do not lose that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and actually just pull the whole body out, because that's what's holding it all in. All right, now that is going to be loose because you took out the main pin, and you have your spring, or your C-ring here. I don't know the exact name for it, but there's only should be one. I saw online it said there's supposed to be two, but there's no space for two. All right, so I'll tap that out. Let's keep everything organized. So we've got our main pin here holding the body in, assembly with the C-spring, or a metal C-ring here. I'll just leave that with that. Now you got your whole assembly here. We'll break this down a little bit later, but this should be all one piece. So we'll do that on its own. Next thing is gonna be, yeah, this one was a pain, but the mag release button here. Oh yeah, that one was not fun to put in, so let's go ahead. There is one little metal piece here. Let me change the view. There we go. So there is a little metal, come on. Yeah, there it goes. There's a little metal pin here. You can just take that right out. All right, so the only thing that's left on this body is the mag release button. And so if you notice, there is a small little pin that you can punch out. Now, when you do that, keep in mind, it's gonna release all the tension here. It's gonna release all this tension here. And it is a pain to get back. So let's just go ahead and punch it out. Right now I'm using a, it's actually a little too small. Let's try the 5/64 punch here. I mean, anything will really work as long as it's the right size. But since this one's not entirely flush, I can go ahead and just kind of give it a little tap. There it goes, comes out on the other side. I wonder if I can use this little holder. I don't think it's gonna do that much. I think it's just supposed to hold the pin. This is plastic. Yeah, it's not gonna work. So you can just punch it all the way through. Yeah, there's just a lot of tension there, so it's gonna obviously, might need to use like your pliers to pull it out. There we go. And as you can see there, this pin has a groove in the middle. So you want to set that aside. And then I let go of all the pieces. And so here is all the pieces for the mag release. You got your spring. Now this spring specifically has a little curve on the end. And just keep in mind, because there's going to be a few springs that are different. So you got that. Your metal piece here that's going to actually push the mag out, release it. And so it's just those three pieces, and then of course your mag release button. So try not to keep all your pieces together, because I had a problem with having a fear of getting mixed up. And when I did clean them, I stuck them all in a bin, and you know, that kind of mixed them all up anyways. So using a schematic online, that kind of helped me in taking pictures beforehand. So for example, when you're taking this part, please take your pictures, because that, for example, this spring, when I put it back together, was pretty loose. It was free, just flowing. That's not correct. So now it's actually as it should. And I had to keep reminding myself that most things that are in this firearm will need to be under tension. So, okay, we'll deal with this a little later. Let's keep it organized. So we got our pieces here. I'm gonna go ahead and actually move these pieces to the side. Okay. That there, it's fine. All right, so let's take our slide here. So we can go ahead and remove our firing pin. So there is a little slot here that you need to have something small enough to poke through to relieve the tension. So I'm using right now the 1/16 pin, push pin. So you're gonna go push it down. As you're pushing down, you're gonna take this plastic piece and slide it down. And then just make sure to not do what I did and just let it slip out, because sometimes this thing can fly across the room. So we're gonna go ahead and remove this. This is what's keeping the firing pin in place. It's just a little metal piece with a spring attached to it. You can remove that if you want to, but I'll leave it together for now. You got your little plastic piece to hold it, or your firing pin in, and then you've got your firing pin sitting inside. So let's go ahead and remove that. There we go. So you've got your spring up here for the front for the actual mechanism that hits the bullet. Then you've got your main middle pin here, and then you've got your spring behind that. So those are three pieces. And so there are a few other pieces here you can remove. I'm not going to be removing the sights, because that's a separate thing entirely. I mean, you can just whack them. I've seen videos, but these will not budge when I tried to remove them, so I'm not going to show you that. I'm also not going to be removing the fire and the safety mechanism, because I do not have the key. So there's no really way for me to remove that or know how to. But I did remove this little piece here. And the metal piece up here that shows if your weapon is loaded with a round in the chamber. And then this little piece here that holds the bullet in place, or the casing, before when it's ready to be fired, I guess. I'm not really too sure what this piece is, but I did remove them to get them cleaned. So there's a few easy steps here. Let's start with this little piece. So all this is, there's a little metal, I don't know exactly what it's called, but it's a little metal pin that's open in the center, so you have to be careful. It is sticking out. Let's see if I can zoom in. It is sticking out through this side, so you will need to press it down and then hit it. So let's go ahead and do that. There it goes. All right, it's on the outside. We can go ahead and remove that either by grabbing it with your pliers. Be careful not to grab it too hard. You don't want to flatten it. But it's pretty small. It's very, very tiny. Very, very tiny little piece. So you make sure you don't lose that. So I'm gonna put that on my metal plate here. All right. And then that piece should come right out because that metal pin is not blocking it anymore. So it should come right out, and it has a spring underneath it. This is going to be the skinniest spring that is on this firearm. That's, oh shoot. That's what it looks like. Very tiny and thin. So I'll separate that. And you get your little metal piece here. I don't know exactly what this piece does, but it is a separate piece that is removable. So I'll keep those together. Next is the round in the chamber metal piece that is lifted. Lifted like, let me see if I can zoom in. It lifts like this when it's loaded in the chamber. So there's a spring underneath it, and there's a little hole right here that has a medium size pin that we just, similar to what we saw. So we are gonna have to punch that with something pretty small and thin. So this one should work because it's about the same size. So let's try it. And you can just leave it on a flat surface so you get better grip. You can go ahead and start working your way through. There it goes. Once it's all the way through, this guy should be easy to pull out. Oh, sorry. It was already all the way out. So here it is, very tiny, but it's about more than double the length of the other one. So I'll put it together. Now this will have a metal piece and a spring. And I did notice a lot of gunk in there, so it is good to clean this. I did buy this gun used online. And so I went and fired it for, oh, here's a little spring. Keep in mind, this is it's not the thinnest, but it is the shortest spring. So keep that in mind. So I'll set that aside. Should put in a separate metal thing here. All right, and then we have our metal piece here. So let's go ahead and remove that too. Now this one has a spring as well on this side, and then a pin inside here. So all you're gonna do is hit it from the top. Hit it from the top here, this hole, and it'll push that out, and then this should be released. So let's go ahead and do that. That sounded like it went through. There we go. Now this one, I think is the same size actually. It's a little bigger in terms of size, but it is about the same length. So keep that in mind. That is the bigger one. Put that there, put those together. Okay, now, here we go. Take this off. This one I've tried to get this crud off the front. I don't know, I think it's just the metal surfacing, but I'm not sure how to do that yet, so I'll do that in a future video. But then we also have, not a video, but future time. Then we also have another spring here. Now this one is not very long, but it is pretty wide. All right, keep those together. Okay, and that's basically everything that you can remove, that I removed when I did cleaned it. Be careful with the plastic. I soaked it in a material that kind of is very acidic, so it kind of ate the plastic a little, and it destroyed my sight, so I had to replace the little green bit, but that's fine. Other than that, this is good to, I soak, and once you remove the sights if they're plastic, because it did decolor mine, at least the front sight. The back one's fine because it's metal. But yeah, so that's as far as that will go. Not too bad. And then now is the main body. So this is where I had the most problems, I would say. And yeah, so this is gonna take probably the rest of the video, because I had the most frustration with this, because there were not a lot of resources online. So that is why I'm making this video now, for anybody that's going to be dealing with this, disassembling this fully. So key things, I removed the trigger while it was still attached to the body, big mistake. And I also tried to reinstall it with that same technique, which was very frustrating. So I recommend keeping the trigger on with the whole body and removing it this way. So we already removed that C spring. It's set aside, or excuse me, C ring, not spring. But all right, so let's go ahead and take a couple pins out that are holding things together. First things first, here's the pin that you want to remove for the trigger. That one actually comes out pretty easy. It honestly wants to fall out on its own just with a few taps. It's already starting to. But so you can just literally push that. You don't need a hammer. So just give it a little push. Boom. Set that aside. I noticed, well, I guess mine's a little more used, but I did notice that it had the wear on it. So if you get confused on what pin is what, they are not going to be the same length. So just keep in mind for it being flush with the hole. So all right, so that's good. We will keep the trigger pin on for now, but you can remove this now if you want to. I mean, the trigger, to be honest, is the most frustrating part, and the reason why is because of this spring. You had to put a lot of tension down into this spring to be able to re-put in this one here. So let's go ahead and do it. I'll use a bigger punch. There's no reason I'm using a small one. That's about the right size. Okay, now this pin is very problematic to get out because it is grooved in the center. It's not even. So you're gonna have to play with it a little to get it out. I recommend getting a good grip on it with some pliers and pulling it through. Oops. Because it's already under tension, so that's going to be difficult. If you want, you can, let's go ahead and remove this from the metal arm here so we get a better grip on it. So there's another pin here that is holding this other mechanism, and that is under tension. So you want to make sure the spring is as I'm showing you here, because most videos did not show how this was arranged. So you got the pin against that metal part there, and then you got the pin other side of the spring on the other side of this pin. I did not remove this during cleaning. I didn't think it was necessary, so I left it. I also didn't really notice that it was separate, so you can remove that if you want to, but I left it in there. So let's go ahead and remove that pin. That's another pin that will come out pretty easy. You don't need a lot of pressure. This one has some more wear in it down the center, so you can kind of keep that in mind compared to the other one, which is shorter. You can tell the difference between the two. All right, and then that removed, let me get these springs in order. Keep these together, the firing pin spring. so I don't lose those. So that came out with these two metal pieces here. So we got this metal piece and a spring. This spring does not have that curved end like the other one did. Okay, so we'll keep these together. Now we have the main mechanism here for the trigger on the back. So there's a pin right here. Just punch that through. That's a little too, I think a little too big. Let's try a different one. I have another set of pins here, or punches, excuse me. That's better. So we'll push that. We're gonna push that all the way through. Oh. I need to get a good grip on it. Kind of pull it through like that. All right. This pin we're gonna put to the side. I don't want to get them mixed up. That one kind of looks a little similar than the others. All right, and all these just fell apart. But now we can remove our main trigger pin so we get a better grip on it. And the other pieces that fell out are right here. Sorry, I lost my pin. I lost the pin stuck in over here in the slide. But what came out from that was going to be this spring, which does have two curved ends on it. This metal piece. So keep these together. And then now you have your metal frame all by itself, good to clean. That little pin I said is still in there. You can remove that if you want to. It's up to you. All right. And then last but not least is going to be the trigger, which in my opinion is the hardest part. So I already pushed it in, but obviously couldn't get a good grip on it. So I need to remove it. So give it like a wiggle. You're gonna have to do a wiggle because it's got that groove in the center. There it goes, starting to make my way through. There it goes. As you can see, it has that groove, which makes it very difficult to remove and also install. And it came with this metal pin as well. It's a long, wide one, curved ends. And your trigger, which does have a metal piece inside. And so yeah, now your gun is fully disassembled and able to be cleaned. Yeah, so now you have all your pieces out ready to be cleaned. Now you can clean that as you want. So now to reinstall it, that's the hardest part, in my opinion. So let's go ahead and begin. Let's reverse engineer. The trigger was the hardest part. So let's just start there. So now we're gonna put it back. So we got our metal piece. I'm gonna put that in like that. And we also are gonna need our arm. It's going to be inside there. So you have to align the holes with all three of them. So 1, 2, 3. And then get the pin inside. So you're gonna have to have a lot of finagling, but you need to push it and then have the pin ready to go in. The hardest part is getting this pin here in the proper spot for it to be pushed in. So it should be sitting something like that. But the problem is the hole is a little bit down, so you are gonna have to put some pressure down to get it to that point. So I guess what I can do is, instead of having this set in here, I could start putting the pin through it now and get a head start on that. So I'm going to put, so this pin actually has a long side and a short side. If you can see that, long side and a short side. So I'm going to put the long side in from the left side so it doesn't get locked in that groove. Considering the pin's going to be on the left side, I think that's going to work out better for it. So I'm going to push it a little through, like that. Push it down. And that's the hardest part, is you don't want the spring. You do not want the spring to fall down in there because you're not going to have any tension. So you got to keep it up like that. All right, so let's push it down and get that pin in there. Oops. I'll just slide it back. Oop. Yeah, every time you push and then the tension kind of shoots it, shoots it somewhere because it is a spring. Spring under tension can be finagly. All right, I'm gonna pause this until I get it. Ooh, I had to take my gloves off for that one, but I did get it through. It should look something like this. Well, obviously that needs to be pushed in a little further, but I got this spring hooked through the pin and then through this little metal arm. Should pivot. All right, let's push that through. That didn't go through. Gotta line it up a little better. That should be good. All right, hardest part done. Hardest part is done. Okay, start reverse engineering it a little. Move some of this out of the way. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and since that is already off, we can actually reassemble the main piece here. So slide that through. Because that pin is going to actually be sitting there, but it's so easy it falls out. We're going to do that last. All right. So we have our main components here. Sit in there like that. Spring down in there. Let me get some pliers or needle nose. Ones I'm using aren't really meant for this. They're meant for art, but it works. Oop, oop, oop. Let's try that again. Okay. That is going to sit in there like that. I can actually do it outside and then bring it inside with the spring. Hold those together. Start putting the pin through. Now I did punch it. Oh, excuse me, hold on. I did punch it through when it was already attached to the body, but let me see if I can do it this way. Okay, slide that in. Well, I guess you can't really slide it in. All right, so yeah, we'll have to do it removed. So hopefully that all just stays together and we'll just slide it in. Oh, dang it. It fell out again. This might be a little troublesome here. Drop her in. Oop. Drop her in like so. And then put the pin in, or the spring in. You gotta make sure that's under tension, so I don't want that to get underneath that. I need to be touching the wall. There we go. That'll work. Now we'll put the pin in from the side. Gotta raise that up just right. There we are. All the way through. Looks good. Looks good. All right. Next thing we can do is the bottom part, which is going to be this spring along with this and this one. Yeah, this one. Okay. So this one has to go inside like that. It's gonna set in this little groove. Oh, I have to make sure that pin doesn't fall out. So you have to set it inside this groove here like that and line up the hole there. Now, to be honest, this was also one of the hardest parts because that spring needs to be just right. So I'm gonna pause the video until I get it. All right, I'm gonna show a little hack. So I lined it up, but it's still not through. The problem is you have to get this part under there. And so that's requiring you to put tension on it. So I recommend not trying to do that by force while this is inserted. So one side, you can actually get a little leverage if you push like that, and go down and then push it back. Oh, you gotta do just right. Put some pressure and put it underneath. And that was the main issue where I didn't have a lot of resources on how that was gonna help me, or how to do that. So once you push it under, you then pry up and then push through. And then you should be able to have it look something like that. All right, almost through. You wanna make sure you're holding it by these pins because they may fall out and you'll get very frustrated. So now we can put our final pin through here, which does actually kind of go through pretty easily, and does fall out easily too, but they won't fall out once they're in the body, obviously. All right, so push that through and that through. All right, and now our main body is assembled, so we can leave that alone. Set that aside, don't touch it because it might fall apart. And we can let's start with the mag release on this. So we can just go ahead and put our pin back in here before you forget. So you want to slide that in and then press it down. It sets down just like that. That may or may not fall out, but it's good not to forget about it. 3 pieces and our pin. So this part we're going to lay in here, and you want it to sit like that. Oh, sorry. Because sometimes it wants to go around and encase it. Actually, no, sorry. That's how you want it. You do want it like that, because when you push it side to side, it'll create that tension to release the mag. So with it like that, we have our piece here. Now this piece needs to fulcrum. So let me see. So if we put it in there like so, and I push under tension, hold on. Okay, so it does need to be open like that. Needed to confirm. So when it pushes it side to side, it will actually allow the lever to slide out. Because if it's the other side, where it's closed off like that, it won't allow anything to move. So you want it open. All right. Now we'll take our pieces and we'll start assembling. So this has a little groove on it, and that's where the spring's going to set. And so it's going to set in there like that. But the hardest part is getting it in there with the spring under tension, and being able to push the pin through. So you're going to want to hold it and slide it in like this. And watch your mag release. It's going to want to spin. And while you hold it, you can go ahead and push your pin through, because it will want to slide all over the place. Give it a little tap. There we go. Now I just got to push the pin all the way through. It's almost there. So I got to push it all the way through. It should go all the way through. So let me get a punch here. Let's use this one. There we go. Oh, darn it. You see what I'm talking about? I don't know if you can see that, but mine spun around. Mine spun around and it doesn't do anything. So it's got to be the other way. Let me fix that. Okay, I fixed it, so it should look like that. And then when you press it, you get that push. All right, body is mainly done. We can go ahead and slide this in. Slide it in from the back first, push the trigger in, slide it down. I'm gonna slide that in place. All right, then we're gonna take our metal plate here. Oh, excuse me, I forgot a step. Learned this recently, so make sure you get your C ring. That's gonna help make sure everything stays in place with your main bar. So slide that in. Now get our metal plate. Put it where it lines up with the hole, and push it down a little, and start pushing this through. Like that. All right, that's not going anywhere. This is good. Now, I'll let you know where to oil, but mainly a lot of the main components here, where a lot of contact, it's good to oil it right where that touches. The trigger, I noticed if you oil it, it kind of starts leaking out this hole here, so just be careful there. All right, and now we can work on the slide. So let's get this firing pin back in. Oh, before we do that, key note, this piece needs to go in before you put this back. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're gonna use our smallest, if you remember, the smallest pin and smallest or thinnest spring, and this piece here. So I wonder if I can zoom in on this. Oh, nice. All right, so what we're gonna do, this was actually pretty difficult to do correctly without the spring coming out. So I recommend, there we go. Key thing is the metal pin is gonna sit inside this spot. So you want to, so I recommend holding it upside down. Let me zoom this out. I recommend holding this upside down so the spring doesn't fall out, and then sliding it in. And then now, this has to be pressed down while you hammer that back in, because it's got that little groove right here, it has to sit, and it has to prevent that from coming out. So all we're gonna do is start putting that in here. Now you could have already like started tapping this in before you put that in, but some people like me don't plan that well. Let's see. Let me get that going. All right, so I got it kind of already set in there a little. So we'll go ahead and push this down. Just need something big to hold it down while we hammer that in. To hold that in place. Oh, see, that's the issue. It might spring out on you, so just be careful there. But we'll do the same thing from upside down. Groove side facing the pin. There we go. All right, so you could probably just hold it in with your finger. Let's push it in a little further. Oops, I may have locked it up real quick. Yeah, don't hold it in with your finger, please. Okay, I'll get another pin and push it in. So it's flush, there we go. All right, so that's in, and then that should be able to move down, up and down. It should not be seized. Like that. Which it looks like it is, so that's good. All right, now we can put in the pin. So remember, it's 3 pieces, your spring here, and your other spring here. You can oil those down if you want. I recommend it, although no professional. Now we'll put that in. Next step is to put the plastic plate back on. Where did I put that? There we go. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna push it down and kind of slide it, but it's just gonna hold it in while we put our release pin back in. So this, I did not remove the metal from the spring. So I'm just gonna go in there. You do not need much tools for this, but you can just slide the plastic back until you're able to push it through. Down, plastic, sorry. Down, plastic in, and then release. Firearm pin is in there. I already pre-oiled everything, so it's pretty much good. Next thing is our, we can do that plate here on the side. Not much to this besides 3 pieces. So go ahead and set your spring in. Slide this in from the front, and you're gonna want to push it forward back as much as you can. And if you notice, you can kind of see where it's gonna line up. Take your pin, slide it in there. Go ahead and give it a few taps. Oop. And we're gonna take our punch, push it the rest of the way through. Just at least until it catches the pin. What you're gonna wanna do is make sure that on the bottom here, it doesn't go all the way through. You want it to be flush. Almost there. A couple more taps. One more tap, and it'll be flush. There it is. It's basically flush, but it is sticking out a little bit, and I'm OCD about that, so I'll just give it a little tap. Back the other way. Being a little stubborn. There we go. Good enough for me. Okay, and then last but not least for those is going to be the round in the chamber indicator. So we'll put our pin in there. And like I said before, these got real gunky underneath because it was a used gun when I bought it. Looked like he put many rounds through it, maybe over thousands. So it looked like it needed a little bit of TLC. So, or actually a lot of it, because the inside it was real gunky. This one was pretty difficult to get out if you didn't have a punch, a long one, I should say. So I recommend investing a little bit into some proper punches. Home Depot's got some good options. But this set I got from Academy was pretty decent, so it has this little holder here. So let me just kind of tap that in real quick. Let me see. Just to get it in there starting off, because it's gonna be a while until it actually goes through. So let's put that spring back in. Put this, hold it down. That's a little big for this. Try this one. gotta make sure it is going in the hole, so be careful about that. Oop. Let's try that again. Almost. Gotta keep pushing it through until it's like about halfway. Great, it is functional. That should be fine. All right, so as long as it's got some tension there, should be good. Same with this. It looks like it's got tension. Pretty hard to press. All right, almost done. We just gotta reassemble the slide here and we're finished. Quite a longer video than I thought, but you know, good things take time. Now, you can oil what you need. I'll go ahead and just tap it since I took it all out. You can tap it a little on the slides just to dollop. These components are removed right here where it mechanism goes up and down for this actual trigger mechanism. We'll hit on the slides here. That should be fine. And then slide it in from the back. Gotta move it up. Sorry, one sec. There it goes. So that part has to be down. So let's go ahead and let me zoom it out. Slide it in. We're gonna go ahead and put that back to the line. Slide this in. And give it a few racks. Let's get an empty mag. And nothing in the chamber. Fire smooth. Seems like it works. All right, guys and gals, this is the BP9cc from Argentina, or however you say it. But it's a good gun for me, at least for concealed carry, single stack. But I hope this video helped you guys get a little insight on how to properly, quote unquote, properly disassemble this gun, because I did not have a lot of resources online for this firearm in dismantling it fully down to the pins. So if you're someone who, like me, likes to enjoy this, then I recommend it for you. Hopefully this video will not actually be that long, but yeah, thank you for watching, and hopefully this helped you as much as I hoped it helped me when I was doing this. So, all right, thank y'all for watching. Bye-bye.